But first, we start off with Tesla's Twitter trauma. Now, stop me if you've heard this before. Elon Musk in hot water as one of his most recent tweets has him warring with the SEC yet again. The stock taking a hit early in the day, but recovering and closing just below $300 a share. Let's get straight to Phil LeBeau in Chicago with all the details. Hey, Phil.
And Melissa, let's bring you up to speed in terms of where things stand right now. Today, a judge in New York issued a ruling saying that Elon Musk has until March 11th, that's a week from Monday, to explain to the court why he should not be held in contempt of court. What does Tesla, the company, or the board of directors have to say about what's happened over the last 24 to 48 hours? It's been crickets. We haven't heard a thing officially, but we have heard from Elon Musk. Somebody on Twitter said, look, the stock moved lower on the SEC contempt of court filing than it did on your tweet on February 19th. And he wrote back on Twitter, exactly. This has now happened several times. Something is broken with SEC oversight. As for the SEC, it stands by its filing last night. No further comment today. That filing saying that Elon Musk should be held in contempt of court because he violated the agreement that he signed back in October, which said that all of his financial communications, anything regarding anything material or could be material to investors, would be pre-approved. Oh, and by the way, in their filing, they also made note of the fact that Elon Musk, when he was talking with 60 Minutes back in December, issued this kind of commentary about whether or not his tweets are approved.
Have you had any of your tweets censored since the settlement?
No.
None. Does someone have to read them before they go out?
No.
So your tweets are not supervised?
The only tweets that would have to be, say, reviewed would be if a tweet had a probability of causing a movement in the stock.
And that's it?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's, hello, First Amendment. Like, freedom of speech is fundamental.
But how do they know if it's going to move the market if they're not reading all of them before you send them?
Well, I guess we might make some mistakes.
As you take a look at shares of Tesla, keep in mind that in the filing last night, the SEC says that Tesla told them, yeah, the initial tweet on the evening of February 19th about whether production would hit 500,000 vehicles, that was not pre-approved. However, they later huddled with Elon Musk and they issued a corrective tweet, or a tweet with a correction saying, really what I meant to say was 400,000 would be the production for 2019. One last thing, Melissa, I get a lot of people asking me this question. Well, why isn't there somebody, an executive, somebody with the board of directors, somebody at Tesla standing up and saying, you know what, we're going to take control of this situation? That has not happened since Elon Musk has been running this company. And I'm not sure why people would expect it to happen in this case. This is Elon Musk's company, and he has shown since he started this company that it moves to his drumbeat. In other words, you will hear people say, well, an executive should stand up and say, this is outrageous, we're going to take control of the situation, or I'm going to be in charge of the situation. Name one time where that has happened. It just has not happened over the history of Tesla with Elon Musk.
Phil, when Elon Musk came back onto Twitter, I think it was today or maybe last night, and he said, hey, the SEC apparently didn't read the earnings call transcript, right. In which case, you know, he had said 300 to 500,000.
Right.
Could it be construed that maybe this wasn't material information in so much that it had been released to the public in another format at some other point in time?
Sure. Sure, and that is likely the argument that you will hear from
right.
The legal counsel at Tesla that, look, this came out in the conference call, and let's be honest here, he corrected this within a couple of hours to say, look, I misspoke saying 500,000. It's really going to be closer to 400,000, as we reported in the earnings call. And that's, Melissa, that's what you hear a lot of people right now on social media saying the SEC is overreacting. The fact of the matter is, this is because the SEC, and the reason that they're trying to hold him in contempt of court is because he violated the terms of the agreement that he signed, that all of his financial communications would be pre-approved. That is at the heart of the SEC complaint. Not whether or not it's an egregious statement that he made on Twitter, but whether or not the process was violated.
You have a question, Karen?
Yeah. So, Phil, on the spectrum of what contempt could mean, what is the range of penalties that they could be facing?
I've talked to a few people today, and all of them have said the same thing. Look, the SEC, if they really, really wanted to throw the book at Elon Musk and at Tesla, could go to the judge and say, look, we had an agreement. He clearly violated it. He thumbs his nose at us on 60 Minutes. He does it on social media, says, I don't need to listen to the SEC. Throw the book at him, kick him out of the CEO suite. Nobody thinks that's going to happen. More likely is that the SEC is going to look to work with Tesla to say, look, we gave you a chance. And in our opinion, he violated it. So now we've got to come up with some way of ensuring that this doesn't happen again. How that is worked out, that remains to be seen.
Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau covering a very thorny story today. So the question is, why did the stock basically finish flat? Guy, should investors care? At this point, is it all in the stock, this whole sort of wild card of Elon Musk going rogue?
It's interesting. So, a couple things. I think he views authority figures and authority groups with utter contempt. I think he thinks he's so much smarter, and he probably is. There's a part of me that thinks he's doing this because he doesn't want to be CEO anymore. He finds the minutia of the job probably boring and below his pay grade, as crazy as that might sound. Maybe the best thing that could happen to Tesla is he does get bounced from the CEO spot, and he remains with the company in some capacity. That could be the best of both worlds. But to answer your question, yeah, the stock traded pretty well today, I think. I thought it had every opportunity to trade down to 280 and stay there. It didn't do it. So, again, you find yourself in the bottom quarter of a range that it's been in now for the last couple of years, and maybe for the first time in a while, it's taken fire on the long side. Makes sense.
Well, I mean, part of the reason why you're an investor in Tesla is because Elon Musk is going rogue. He's going rogue on electric vehicles. He's going rogue on the decarbonization of the electric grid. You're in it because this guy is a change maker, and that's why you're in the stock. That being said, I think if you take him out of the CEO role, you make him chairman, executive chairman, he's still going to tweet. This is going to happen. He's proven it. He doesn't care about those rules. So investors in this, number one, need to know that this is going to happen. And number two, need to understand that you're betting on somebody who doesn't want to follow the rules and is going to break the rules. That is, to me, why Tesla is valuable and why the stock didn't go down today. Because if you lose Elon Musk, I think you don't have much of an investment case.
Hold on a second. I mean, first of all, since when has the stock price reflected reality? Okay, so if you guys actually think that the stock price should be trading on fundamentals, then this stock should be at a very different level. And you know where I think it's going to be. Remember,
no, but I mean, the reaction to the funding secure, the reaction to the initial SEC investigation, I mean, that was a pronounced move in the stock, right? And so, yeah, I agree with you in some respects, but in terms of the reaction to Elon Musk going rogue on Twitter, the stock has certainly reacted in the past. We've seen
it has, and I'm not going to try to tell you, give you a psychoanalysis of the stock price movements, but I'm telling you, stock price does not reflect liquidity, and that's exactly the most important thing. It doesn't reflect liquidity in the underlying stock, but more importantly, it doesn't reflect solvency in the company. It does not reflect fundamentals in terms of where the production is going. It doesn't reflect the valuation, and it never has. And think about what's happened over the last couple months. You've seen two of the biggest investors, actually three of the biggest investors, cut their positions in half. You had the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund basically hedge out their position. You've got a short interest that's massive that obviously on some level is going to keep this stock afloat. I am of the view that if this stock has major problems, they will happen with the stock price at a very inflated number, not at a much lower number. I don't think the stock price means anything.
Well, I think that clearly they've come to the public markets. They use the public markets, right? They have debt, they have equity, and so they like all the benefits of public markets, but clearly Elon Musk doesn't want to live by the rules of public markets. Therefore, this should not be a public company. I really believe that. He is a change maker. He is a genius in many ways. He's clearly not a guy who likes to play by the rules. We don't know that the board hasn't tried to rein him in. We don't know that, right? I think they might,
So why haven't they resigned then? I mean, in other words, if I'm a board member, this guy's really dangerous for me. The board should be embarrassed. The SEC should be embarrassed. In other words, this guy is running roughshod on everybody.
He is. Look, I think that, that it's probably a pretty cool thing, actually, to be on the Tesla board. Seriously, I think it is. This is difficult for sure. I'm surprised we haven't seen some resign, because it can't be that cool and that fun for everybody.
I would think the D&O insurance for the Tesla board would be as high as any company in the world.
That may be. I don't think it should be public. I really don't. I think his First Amendment argument is ridiculous. When you have a public company with public securities that you can tweet whatever you want because it's a First Amendment thing, that's absurd. But maybe at this valuation, there isn't a private market deal to be done. But I think they should do it.
Well, if they can. But let's say, obviously, whatever goes on with Elon Musk at this point, I don't know if it's just another reason for the bears to not like the stock. But if you're a bull on Tesla, is this reason for concern in your view, Guy? Is this a reason why the stock should maybe maybe trade in a range, be discounted, be re-rated, because there should be some sort of discount embedded in the stock because of the wild card that Elon Musk may present?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely should be concerned if you're a bull. But maybe I didn't make my point clear at the top of the show. Like, the price action today was encouraging. Again, given the news that we've seen, over the last couple months, the market had every opportunity to take this stock to the woodshed. It tried earlier and it was unsuccessful. So the fact that it did close unchanged, I understand it's just a day, that's encouraging. And the bull thesis, you're right. But that's been the case now since you bought the stock at any period of time, right?
I think it's not, is he going to tweet crazy stuff? Because he is going to tweet crazy stuff. We know that. We've seen it multiple times. The question is his CEO-ness ever going to really be at stake? It doesn't seem like it from this. But that's because we've had this discussion before. If he leaves, I think the stock falls a lot.
Right. How far is he going to push it? Right. How far is he willing to go? And how far is the SEC willing to push back and say, you know what, if there is a ruling that says Elon Musk has to leave as CEO, I think that would be a negative for the stock. So, I would buy the stock because I think Elon Musk is going to be there. But as I said at the top, if he's not there, to Tim's point, the valuations aren't great. The prospects aren't great. They've got to raise money. There's so many problems with this. You're in it for Elon Musk.
While the stock was flat, I noticed another stock on the move, and that would be shares of Twitter, closing the day down 3%. Now, what did Jack Dorsey tell our friend over at Recode, Kara Swisher, on Twitter? He said basically that Elon Musk was one of the most exciting Twitter users out there. So if Elon Musk gets a muzzle, if people start feeling that they need to be muzzled in some way with Twitter, if Twitter could be a weapon of self-destruction, what happens to Twitter? Because I don't know what was behind this move today. It was a clear underperformance.
Melissa, but I mean, again, this sounds to me like now we're giving Elon Musk a lot more credit and adding, he's the reason why Twitter's valuation is what it is. That's almost as absurd to me as as Tesla's valuation. So I hear you. And I do think his tweets are the subject of enormous speculation, laughter, horror, you tell me. But when I think about it, Twitter responding because I think Twitter would have a much bigger issue if the president stopped tweeting rather than Elon Musk. And by the way, I don't think in either case. The reason why Twitter is such a great platform is because this is happening in real time. And while there's a lot of fake news, there's a lot of really smart people who are doing a lot more work on Tesla than I think a lot of the people out there who own the stock. In fact, I bet most of the retail investors that own the stock haven't even read the 10K. And yet the people out there on Twitter follow this stock really closely, and I think that's pretty interesting.
I think that's fair. I think Tim listen, the people that have done probably the most work are probably the people that are playing it from the short side that have been frustrated now for the last couple of years because it's not at the price that they think it should be trading at. That's probably typically true with a lot of stocks. With that said, I think that the sell-off in Twitter today, if that's in fact what it's on the back of, is overdone. And when they went in a couple weeks ago when they said, we're changing the metrics, I think they took their medicine, Twitter. And I think going forward, that's going to help them a great deal. So if you're asking to sum up this conversation, I think Tesla traded well, and I would buy Twitter on this weakness.